Today, we're excited to introduce you to Sam Westfall, an Army veteran and entrepreneur who's serving both the archery community and his fellow veterans. Sam founded Archery in Motion and Valor Archery Challenge, creating innovative target training while building a supportive community. He uses archery as therapy and empowerment for veterans and military members. He's also a Bunker Labs ambassador for 2025, helping other veteran entrepreneurs succeed in business. We're looking forward to hearing Sam's story and how he's making an impact with his passion for archery.
Welcome to the MilCom Founders Podcast, where we champion and celebrate military community business founders. In each episode, we will talk with a MilCom business founder to learn how they work through various obstacles and opportunities in business and in life. I'm your host, Rod Loches. Let's meet today's guest. On today's episode, I'm excited to introduce you to Sam Westfall, an Army veteran and CEO, founder of Archery in Motion. Sam, thanks for joining us today.
Morning, Rod. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. If you could just tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of an elevator pitch would be fantastic.
Absolutely. So Sam Westfall, Army vet, served from 94 to 01, served as an M1 Abrams tank mechanic before I got crushed by a tank. And then that medically separated me out.
Wow.
From there, I moved to a 22-year-long IT career doing basically back-end technology. So server rooms, data centers, operating systems, and that type of thing, not development. 2023 decided to step away from that career and start as an entrepreneur with Archery in Motion and now Valor Archery Challenge as well. And kind of used archery as a therapy for myself for the last 14 years. And that's kind of where builds us up to today.
Absolutely. So archery, I'm guessing that's what you're passionate about. What else do you like to do when you're not running your business and working 24/7?
So travel is a component. My wife and I do like to travel. So we've been to Alaska a handful of times. We've been to Hawaii a couple of times. 2 years ago, we were over in Scotland and Ireland for a 15-day trip. So, travel is a component of it, but predominantly it's archery and archery related things because that's what helps me not only keep in the industry, but also figuring out where my business needs to go next and which hole I need to fill.
Absolutely. So my daughter lives in Glasgow, Scotland. What was your favorite parts of Scotland?
Pitlochry was an absolutely cute, beautiful little tourist trap town. We went up into Isle of Skye, which was pretty, just absolutely gorgeous. Didn't spend nearly enough time in Edinburgh, but had a lot of fun there. Glasgow was also very cute.
Yeah. My daughter lives in Glasgow, but she loves Edinburgh. So, but she loves Glasgow too, I think. So, we'll see. And what do you do to take care of yourself? I mean, it's archery. I know that's a big part of your life. Anything else that you do that brings you zen, brings you comfort?
So a lot of my life revolves around hunting. And as you and I've kind of talked at the Bunker Labs and IVMF events, that really is, if I'm not actively hunting, I'm thinking about hunting. If I'm not thinking about hunting, I'm working out for hunting. So it becomes a major component of it. So even when I get out of bed in the morning, I'll roll out of bed before I even head to the shower. It's 25 push-ups, it's 25 sit-ups, it's 25 air squats, just to get the body up and moving and starting that cycle. Then I'll go take a shower. Then I go do the rest of my day. I work out heavy, 3 days a week in the afternoons. 2 days a week, I'll throw on a 20-pound ruck pack and get on a treadmill with max elevation. I'll go for about a 30 to 40-minute hike, just straight uphill. So it's a lot of that just becomes, if I'm not slinging arrows, I'm working out so that I can sling arrows so that I can go up on the mountain.
Yeah. That rucking that you introduced me to, I now love. And I'll take 35 pounds, go 10 miles. I don't do that every day, but it's fantastic. It's a little bit of my zen mentality. That and kayaking are two things that I just,
there you go,
brings me peace. That's for sure. And so how did you, as a kid, a young person, when did you start thinking about joining the military?
I grew up on the farms out east of Boulder in Colorado. And so I didn't have a whole lot of friends. I was an only child. So I needed something because I kept getting into trouble. Dad got me into firearms early on. So that got me into shooting competitively and then hunting. By the time I was through 4-H, shot competitively through there, about 15, 16, 17, my folks started saying, hey, look, you've got a couple options, but really the military is probably going to be your best choice. So they helped me. They signed the paperwork when I turned 17 and a half. I was able to join early. And that started it in 94 and kind of built my way up. Got injured, medically separated out. And so then it's just, okay, well, now I've found my next career. Kind of built into that.
Yep, absolutely. It's interesting. I also joined when I was 17 and a half. I don't think I went through, parents had to sign. I don't think I went to basic. Well, I know I didn't until just after my 18th birthday. But I remember our parents going like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "Look, I can't afford my education without the military's help." And that's what I did. So understand. So Sam, tell me about the military to the business transition. What's couple insights that you learned in the military that carries over into running your business? Some things that you learned that help you run your business.
The biggest piece there is in the military, we learned grit, determination, and never give up. And that's probably, those are the three biggest pieces that I've carried into being an entrepreneur. Is you can have good days, you can have bad days, you can have good hours or bad hours as an entrepreneur. You just have to figure out how to work through that and move on to the next stage. Especially as a new entrepreneur, you think you've got the best product in the world. You're going to get told no more times than you can count. You have to accept those, figure out how to learn from each of those, and move on to move that no to a yes. And that's all about determination and grit and just stay focused.
Absolutely. I was looking at your website earlier. It looks like one of your characters or targets is it Sasquatch?
Yep, it's a Bigfoot. Yep.
It's a Bigfoot. Okay.
Yep.
Bigfoot. That's what is this? Look close. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. So it's pretty cool. Good sense of humor there.
I wanted to prove the point that we can put any target from an armadillo all the way to the full-size buffalo on there. And the Bigfoot, it's just a cute, fun little target to shoot at.
And so Archery in Motion is your business.
One of them.
And one of them. Okay. So let's talk. We'll talk about that one first, and we'll come back to the other one's called again
Valor Archery Challenge.
Valor Archery Challenge. Okay. So with Archery in Motion, I know you've been an archer all your life, but tell me what was the impetus for you to start that business?
It's a slightly fun story. My buddy and I were at an archery competition here in Colorado a number of years back, 2022-ish. We got done for the day. We went to the nearest bar. We were having a beer, and we got to laughing and joking, kind of talking, reliving the day. And throughout that, my buddy said, what we really were missing? I said, what's that? He goes, a moving target. And I went, I have an idea. So I grabbed a bar napkin and I stopped a waitress and asked for a pen. And I started drawing. He goes, what are you doing? I said, I'm designing a moving target. He went, oh, you're not kidding either. I said, no, not at all. So that video that you saw on the website today was 3 years worth of design coming from that bar napkin, which is still framed and in a basement, hung up.
Sure.
So we drew it out on a bar napkin, took out the welding equipment, bought a bunch of metal, welded up the initial demo unit, and then it's revised a few times since then. I've got a new video of our monster target. So what you saw was a 10-foot straight line moving target. The monster, which we just shot video of on Sunday, it's a 64-foot oval track, 64-foot worth of linear distance oval track. So you get quartering to, quartering away, broadside, frontal, and 12-foot distance change, all in that same shot scenario. So really it started with, we were missing the moving target because we wanted it to be a little bit more fun. Then it became, well, here's a training tool, here's a novelty tool, here's something that we can add to all these different ranges and these different events. And in the last 2 years, it's really become, here's an accuracy improving tool, because when you have a improved practice, now you've got improved accuracy.
Absolutely. It's interesting. Because at first glance, I think, well, what are the other applications for your and one of them is, for me, is airsoft guns.
Airsoft, firearm, paintball, Dart Wars.
Dart Wars? That's funny. Because the my soon-to-be son-in-law over in Scotland, he does airsoft, huge competitions over there. And I went shooting with him one day, and they got all these little it's like playing Chinko or something, ting, ting.
Mhm.
But I can imagine just trying to hit the moving Sasquatch, how much more difficult that would be, and what the dynamic in that sport would if you did that. So very cool.
Yep. We've taken it to firearms ranges, the straight line mover, with either cardboard targets or steel plate, and that becomes a lot more interesting, makes it a more realistic scenario. What I found with some veterans is that when you put a human silhouette downrange, that it becomes challenging for them because it re-implements PTSD, stress, anxiety, and depression. And
Mhm.
so switching over to the archery side, it's a little easier for them to shoot at and makes it a little bit more fun rather than putting them back into memories or scenarios that they don't want to relive.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Brings a lot of, we talked about this recently. Um, how much Zen that brings archery brings to you versus the shooting. And it makes sense because when I go shooting with my daughter, it's, you got your earmuffs on, all that. But we're doing archery, it's a whole different experience, much more engaging conversation. And yet the Zen is still there, just like it is shooting, because you got to be totally 100% locked in and focused.
Very much so.
And what I'm finding as I talk to more military community founders is a lot of us have found that Zen activity, and that's just so important, I think, in life and for everyone, even civilians.
Yep.
To find that moment of Zen each day. And what is it? Absolutely.
And it really doesn't matter what it is as long as you find something, especially as an entrepreneur. You mentioned it earlier. I spend 24/7 waking hours focused on the business in some way, shape, form, or fashion. So you have to find some way of an outlet, whether that's underwater basket weaving, whether that's archery, whether it's golf, doesn't matter, but you have to find some type of outlet. For me, archery became the best one because not only is it in the industry that I want to work in, it makes the networking connections that I need for my business. But once I draw that bowstring back, none of the rest of the world matters. And
Mhm.
I can have 10 people yelling, screaming, talking, laughing, joking behind me. That conversation doesn't matter to me. I can only focus on my release, the sight, the pin, and the target.
Yep.
And that's the Zen.
Yep. And the other thing is so important is finding that healthy thing that we find
Yeah.
brings us that Zen and that peace versus all the things we know about. Won't go into detail. That
Alcohol's
we
not
as
it.
humans-
Trust me, I know.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, that's right. That's right. We can choose alcohol. We can choose X or Y. There's gambling. So many things. So it's I love talking about the Zen things we have in our lives that are healthy. It's amazing. So tell me about the other business. I know that's a more recent endeavor, right?
It is. So that one started July of 2024 after taking archery and motion across the country throughout the year. Realized that there was a missing gap. And part of that gap was that there are very few 3D archery events that are really dedicated towards the military and veteran community. So Valor Archery Challenge was formed, really trying to offer a different alternative form of therapy for the military and veterans and their families. Open to the public though, so anybody can come in and play. But when you look at the vendors that are at the events, it really is wrapped around the veteran community. So it's
Mhm.
the veteran service organizations, it's the veteran hunting, fishing, outdoor organizations. To the event itself, where most of the other 3D archery events across the country don't offer rental gear, we are. I've had a little over a dozen folks volunteer as coaches so that if you've never picked up a bow before, you've never shot before, you can step out onto the course at Valor Archery and you can learn to be shooting, slinging arrows within about 20 minutes. And then you're just
Wow.
out there having fun.
Yeah, easy, right?
Well, I didn't say accurately. I just said sling.
That's right. There's a difference. There's a
There
huge
is.
difference as I learned. That's for sure. Very cool. And how many of those events have you hosted already?
2 as of yet. I've got another 4 already booked for Colorado. I've got 3 more that are in the works, and then I'm starting to have conversations with folks already about what 2026 looks like and how do I take it out of Colorado to potentially South Dakota or Montana, even out to North Carolina. So
Wow. So tell me, what does a successful event look like when you do those for the Valor Archery Challenge? Valor.
what does it look like? So a successful event for me looks like X number of participants, probably a dozen to 15 different vendors that are all veteran service organization related. And then seeing the smiles and seeing the level of camaraderie that goes along with it. When you put active military next to a veteran, the active military that's transitioning is trying to figure out what does that look and feel like. They've already been separated from their unit. We'll leave it there. But the veteran wants to talk to other veterans and even potentially back to that military person to kind of reconnect and reestablish that connection, or even to maybe even relive some stories. So when you put those groups together at a neutral experience like archery, well, now everybody's building a community. They're building that camaraderie and they're all having fun. And that's where that level of success for me comes into play.
Yeah. It's neat because it is that shared nexus, that shared experience becomes the connection point.
Yep.
And whether it's that community is the military community, whether it's active duty, veteran, retired veteran, it brings everybody together in a very positive, powerful way. And we've seen it even with IVMF is the camaraderie, the conversations,
it's an instant connection, regardless of what branch, when you served, where you served, or what you did.
That's right. Yeah. So it's been very cool to be part of that. And in fact, when I got involved with the V program, part of the PinFed give back program that they do 7-8 years ago, I was like, wait a minute, I'm home, because suddenly I was back around veterans and I had really forgotten about being a veteran, to be honest. And suddenly I was like, wow, this is fantastic. So it's pretty cool, for sure. So what's the challenge that you're currently working on in your business, both businesses?
For the archery and motion business, the challenge is really trying to change that centuries-old mindset about shooting at stationary targets, because moving targets is a new, unique thing that in the competitor space, I have 2 other competitors in that world. Mm-hmm. And so it's changing that mindset of shooting at a stationary target. And that's a centuries-old thing. So that's a hard nut to crack right now, but we're getting there. On the Valor Archery Challenge, I'm really not having any challenges there. I've got over 30 companies have offered up donation and raffle prizes, totaling well over $6,000 at this point. I've got participation numbers are growing every day. And like I said, now I've got folks from out of state reaching out to say, what does it take for me to bring you to my world, my space, my state, and set up an event out there? So the targets are on hand, the rental gear, kids' bows, adult bows, arrows, targets are on hand. Now it's just a factor of kind of steering the last couple of pieces together to make it work.
Yeah, it's very cool when you get that, I'll call it that pull demand from potential clients, different locations saying, hey, can you come here? Can you help us?
Right.
And then it becomes a challenge of, okay, well, which one should I do next? How many should I do next? Natalie will know this. I often say, hey, in my own business, I'd like to do this, I'd like to do that. Hey, what about this? And wait a minute, how much time do I really have to do X number of things well? And because I can't do everything well. Yeah. So,
and one of my buddies that's helping me, and my wife as well, we're having those same discussions about how many events is feasible without me getting divorced. Start there.
Yeah.
Right. But really just kind of, what does that look like? What's the travel time look like? What's the time away look like? And then what do the numbers need to be in order to make it real?
That's right. Absolutely. So one thing is what I've found with a lot of veteran founders, or just founders in general, is a key component of success is to see that a founder's coachable, and you seem to be very coachable and willing to learn.
What's your
thoughts on that?
It doesn't always work.
That's right. That's right.
When my first year as an entrepreneur, I decided just exactly your point. I need to learn how to be a business owner because it's not something I'd ever done before. So I worked through the Bunker Labs Veterans and Residents program. I went through the Warrior Rising program. I went through the Second Service Foundation program. I went through DAV Patriot Boot Camp. I went through Boots to Business program. Just trying in all veteran-based entrepreneurial programs. But I wanted to learn, okay, there's got to be a nugget in each one of these that I can take to help make me a better business owner. There's got to be something in here that can help transform what my mindset is about doing X thing. And you really just have to focus on where that growth path lies and then how to move towards that, what that end goal looks like.
Simple, right?
Oh, keep the end goal in mind is the simplest piece I can tell you. It doesn't mean it makes sense or it makes it any easier.
Say that again. I think that's a very valuable nugget for
keep the end goal in mind.
Keep the end goal in mind. That is right. That's right. And what is your end goal?
For Archery in Motion, I would love for that to be the top ranking moving target platform across the country for both archery as well as firearms. At some point, I would love for somebody to come in and say, we want to buy that out, and I walk away from that business and have a chunk of money that I can go spend the rest of my life hunting. For Valor, I don't have an end goal for that one. I want to use that one probably for the rest of my life and just take that as therapy across the country for everybody.
Wow. That's fantastic. Maybe the end goal of that is it X number of people served? I mean, it's like the old McDonald's sign, billions and billions served.
There is that.
Yeah.
You can pour water in the trough. You can't necessarily drag the horse to water, but if I can throw it out there and have enough people experience it and get exposure to it, I think it'll grow and it'll expand out.
Yeah. I mean, if you're able to help X number of military veterans, and the community, the families, and just think of all the good and the beauty you bring to so many people and so many families.
Well, that's, as I've been talking with the different vendors that have offered up raffle prizes, that's kind of the story that I'm telling them is, this is what I'm trying to do. This is how I'm going to accomplish it. Do you want to come along for the ride with me and help support the military and veteran community? And like I said, over 30 companies have said, yes, absolutely. And I'm well over $6,000 in raffle prizes as of right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me about that patent process. That's really interesting. I didn't realize that part.
So going into moving targets, again, it's a new concept. It's a new theory around what we're doing. I reached out to a couple different patent lawyers early on, and one of them said, it's $2,500 just for me to sit down with you and have a discussion. Another one said, yeah, it's $4,000 for me to have the discussion and go through the initial patent review process with you. And I said, as a brand new entrepreneur, I don't have all the grant money. I don't have all the business sales. I don't have any of that because I need to have the patent first before I can really start that selling process. Well, turns out there's a patent office here in Denver, which is an hour and a half up the road from me. So I reached out to the patent office. I scheduled time with one of their patent folks in the office. I ended up taking all of my design and drawings up there and chatting with one of the ladies. And she said, okay, I like what you got. Here's about 17 pages worth of homework that you need to take home and do and reschedule with us. So I did that, went back 3 weeks later after I had all the 17 pages filled out, filed my $350 or $400 patent fee, and 19 months later, it got approved.
Wow.
Without any lawyers.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
So you have a patent on this?
Yes, sir.
I didn't know that. That's really cool. It also brings up the whole conversation of, is there a nonprofit give back for veterans that help them get their ideas trademarked or patent?
And I'm sure that there might be a couple out there, but I would say anything that deals with patent, trademark, or copyright, it is a unique challenge in order to get there.
Yeah, it sure is. And it took you got it done in 19 months?
Yeah. Talking with one of the lawyers that's here local that does, he's a patent attorney and he does it every day. He said, our stuff usually goes through 10 months to 11 months. He goes, but I understand without a lawyer and no pushback, I understand why it takes us a little bit longer. Sure. I'm totally willing to let it take longer because I didn't spend $30,000 to get a patent.
No, I think 19 months is pretty fast from what I've heard. So, or at least not extraordinarily long. So congratulations. Right. We're talking about, in a little bit here, we're going to talk about opportunities and obstacles. Wow. That is both that you overcame with that. Is what an obstacle to building your business, having that patent. What an opportunity once you get it. So tell me about another opportunity or obstacle that you've had to overcome building your businesses.
For Valor, the biggest challenge was I wanted to be able to host it on Fort Carson military base, which is a different, unique challenge compared to most of the other archery events that are held at specific archery ranges or even held on ski slopes during the summer. Yeah. I wanted something different. And again, focused on the military and veteran community. Best way to do it is host it on the military base. So I had to go stand in front of a 2-star and a command sergeant major and have the conversation with them about who I am, Army vet. Here's what I want to do. Support the military and veteran community, bring archery as therapy. Here's why I want to do it. Here's how it benefits all of the community. Here's the veteran service organizations that I want to bring to the table. It was about a 45-minute conversation, and at the end of it, 2 stars said, "Yep, let's make it happen."
No kidding. And have you done the event there already?
Not yet. So that's the April event that's coming up.
Oh, just around the corner. Wow.
Yep.
Got it. Got it. What was the toughest question that CSM or the general asked?
Why you? Was
Uh-huh.
probably it's an easy answer, but for those of us that are military veterans, we don't normally talk about ourselves well. So I had to tell them a little bit of a story. I was down a dark path. Somebody handed me a bow that transitioned me from firearms and away from alcohol into the archery space. And that's kind of 14 years ago, almost 15 years ago now. That's really where that transition happened. And that's why I want to bring it to the rest of the community.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's awesome. What other insights that you would have to share with other veteran business owners, other veteran founders, you think you wish you'd known before you started this?
Probably the biggest piece is don't think that you can't do it. If you really want to step away or step into the entrepreneurial space, you might not know everything, and that's okay. Go learn it. Don't spend money on it unless you absolutely have to. And that's, as a for instance, Valor Archery Challenge went out on 36 different Facebook groups on Saturday for promotional, and it didn't cost me a penny. You don't have to pay for ads. You just have to find the right groups to be able to post it to and what that schedule looks like. So go learn how to do a lot of the stuff on your own, because that'll actually help you down the road when you hire a marketing company and you say, I need this thing. Well, then you can challenge whatever that their information that they're feeding back to you about where, why, or how, if you understand what you're doing and how you're doing it, what it takes to make it happen.
Yep. And for your Valor Archery Challenge, the revenue model for that is the sponsors pay for the space, or how does that?
Nope. So the revenue model is registration fees for the participants, rental gear, merchandise. Then comes and then there's novelty shots as well. On the vendor space, the veteran services organizations, the veteran hunting, fishing, outdoor organizations are actually getting a booth for free. I'm not charging any of those. I just want to bring them to the table so they can intermingle with the community. Those veteran-owned businesses that are going to have retail booths, those are getting charged, but it's $250. That's super cheap from a retail booth perspective. And I've got an opportunity for those that want to sponsor targets, $500, and we'll put your name, your logo, your website right on the side of a target. Then there's the overall event sponsorship. Right now, the April event is sponsored by Archery and Motion because I own both companies and I can. And so that's kind of where we're at.
Sure, absolutely. So, all right. And any other opportunities or obstacles that you face that are also? Kind of took a jump back there to the question before, but
Yep. So nothing else major that jumps out. It's finding the right avenue that works. Don't sign off on or don't jump into a business unless you can prove that the revenue model is going to be there. Again, jumping into a moving target that's brand new technology and into an industry that's not ready for it has been a learning curve. So we've had to prove that that's really where the next generation, the future of target archery really needs to live. Not everybody signed off on it yet. So the struggle is real.
It's interesting because when you look at the younger generations, especially when they're doing their video games and their
They're
VR,
playing in technology.
Stuff is moving. So you take them outdoors, you go, okay, go shoot at this flat target, stationary target. You go, a lot of those younger people are going to go, hey, well, why?
Yeah.
I can think that I'm shooting
Right.
at a moving target. So very interesting. Yeah. So, Sam, getting ready to wind this down, but I got a couple more questions.
Sure.
But what's one more question I should have asked you already? You're like, why doesn't Rod ask me this?
It's unfair because I gave you this answer last time. So
yes, and I added those questions, and they're coming up in a minute. So yeah, we're gonna get to those. That's funny.
So what other questions should Rod ask? I'm assuming that how do I get in touch is one of the.
How do you get in touch? Absolutely.
Okay. then I really don't have anything else to throw out there.
Okay. So what resources have you been found helpful? And you mentioned some of them earlier in building your business and learning business. Is it those organizations? Are there books? Are there resources, podcasts? What?
Some of it podcasts, some of it's, those different organizations that I mentioned earlier. I would also say that, your local SBDC and even VBOC, Veteran Business Outreach Center, are huge resources as well for the local community. So utilize those to help get connected up. I found that 1 Million Cups is a pretty decent local community networking group. Had a lot of fun in meeting new folks there. But find, in whatever industry that you're in, find the connection for that industry in your space and then run with it.
Yeah.
And if it's not there today, build your own.
Yeah, build that community, build that connection. Absolutely. Collaborate. People that don't collaborate, I don't know how they
It's a rough go.
Yeah, I think so. So what's next for both of your businesses? What's the next big endeavor?
The next big is for Archery in Motion is our monster moving target, which is the oval track. We're gonna, like I said, we just shot some great video of it over the weekend, showing the different shot angles because arrows are coming in from every different angle on that target. So really kind of turned it into a pincushion looking thing, but had a lot of fun with that. So we're going to release that here in the next couple of weeks. And then that'll be incorporated into the Valor Archery Challenge events, which is really going to make it fun. For Valor Archery Challenge, it's really about finding the next level or next layer of vendors that want to come be a part of it, or whether that's as raffle donation prizes or whether that's sponsorship or even vendor booths at the event. So finding all the right connections to make it more of a community.
Absolutely. So the vendors could pay, host say for X dollars, could host a target and possibly have a booth. Got it.
Right. Okay. Yep.
And then jumping back to Archery in Motion, when the target just has too many arrows into it, are you selling the next? Can they buy additional targets from you? Physical targets?
I've partnered up with the 5 major target manufacturers across the country. I've got deep discounts for them, so I can sell different targets if they want to move from a armadillo target to a whitetail or a mule deer target. That's fine. I'm happy to work with it. The nice part is the targets, and so unlike firearms, when you pull the trigger, that bullet goes downrange and blows a hole through a piece of cardboard. The targets that are used in archery are, I don't want to say living foam, but they're self-healing foam. So when you pull the arrow out of the target, that foam just over time slowly closes back up on itself.
Got it.
And so you can reuse those targets quite a bit. It's really just a factor of, do I want to change from a bear target to a deer target, or even to something bigger.
Different seasons, different thing, whatever the case may be.
Spring turkey is right around the corner. So they're going to see and experience some spring turkey that are moving around.
Got it. Okay. So what's something the audience can do to champion and celebrate you and your businesses?
Follow the social media, pay attention to what I've got going on, sign up for the event, come out, sling some arrows with us, learn how to archery as therapy, make some new connections, have fun.
Understood. And how do we get in touch with you?
For Archery in Motion, website is archery-in-motion.com, and that matches up with all social media across virtually every channel. And then for Valor, it's valorarcherychallenge.com. Social media, the only variant there is on YouTube. It's Valor Archery Challenge 1. We're not going to go into why.
Understood. Got it. And then who's another inspiring military community founder that you know of that people should know about? Respect.
I've had some pretty good connections here in the last couple of weeks. Jeff Harding was one that I just met with the Victory Leadership Coaching. Had a great conversation with him just a couple weeks back. Scott DeLuzio runs the Drive On podcast. So Army vet trying to grab a hold of folks that are finding new and inventive ways for veterans in therapy.
Got it.
Unfortunately, he's had 400 some episodes in his podcast, and I was the first one for archery. So
Got it. Okay. But his podcast is called Drive On.
Drive On.
Awesome. Okay. Makes sense. That's really cool. All right. So, hey, look, we really appreciate your time and insights today.
Rod, it's always a pleasure.
Inspiration. And, and just to say thank you, we're going to donate $100 to the Dick Logis Scholarship Fund.
Perfect.
That goes to a MilCom military community founders kid, whether they want to go to college or to the trade school. It's their choice.
Awesome.
And so thank you so much for your insights and supporting us today. And Sam,
thanks for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Talk to you soon. Okay.
Thanks, Rod.
Thanks for joining us on the MilCom Founders Podcast. If you know a MilCom founder with a story to share, reach out to us at milcomfounders.com. For each guest on our show, One Degree Financial donates $100 to the Dick Logis Veteran Entrepreneur Scholarship Fund, supporting education for children of a MilCom business owner. Stay ready.